Stephen D says, bro, this stream is going to be lit this Saturday. I can't wait for Jones. So he also says, anyone else agree that if John Jones goes the distance, he wins no matter what? I said the same thing about Patty's last fight. Very interesting, sir. We are going to have a lot of fun on Saturday. Okay, that's just 2 nights away. We will be gracing each other's presence in about 50 hours for UFC 285. Be here or be here on TSP. The return of John Jones in the main event. Make sure you're here. Buy the pay-per-view. Okay? Hang out with us. All right? If you're going to be using a cracked stream, just know that I'm going to react to the shit I see. And you'll see it probably in the next 64 seconds after I see it. But either way, be here. Be here. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay? Steven, I've been saying since Saturday and the last show that if Jones loses 50-44, the UFC will still make him #1 pound for pound. John Jones could get knocked out 50 seconds into the first round. He'll be ranked very high up. I think that the UFC is crazy biased towards John Jones. And it doesn't matter what. I've never heard of them trying to overturn somebody's DQ loss. Never heard of it. Jeremy Lewis is going to be here. Dan Jensen. Otis is going to be here. Steven. David Banner shows up when the stream is over. But we love you anyway, buddy. So Jeremy Lewis like, David, you're late. David Banner is predicting a John Jones KO. He thinks he's going to knock out Cyril Gane. John Jones very rarely knocks anybody out. Yep, it's a business and he wants superstars. The thing that they hate is the guy that doesn't have much personality. Like, again, Steven, you mentioned the Paddy Pimblett fight. Paddy Pimblett very convincingly lost that fight against Jared Gordon. But Jared Gordon has the personality of a broken pair of earbuds. David Banner says not by KO. He is amending it to ground and pound TKO. This is a possibility. There's a possibility. Dan Jensen says John Jones will TKO Cyril Gane. Okay. Okay. Yeah, David, come on. You're not a filthy casual. You know that there's a very clear difference between KO and TKO. My prediction, I'm going to say Cyril Gane by unanimous decision is the most likely outcome. And the reason why I'm saying this is because Cyril Gane is a very experienced fighter at heavyweight. He is a very intelligent fighter. And I believe that he got caught off guard by Ngannou's wrestling because nobody thought Ngannou had any wrestling, so he did not prepare for that. Everybody knows that John Jones has wrestling. John Jones doesn't really use his wrestling very often. But John Jones has that. I think that Bonga Min is he's ready for that. And another thing is that even though John Jones has done it properly by not transitioning from a lifetime of light heavyweight and then rushing into heavyweight, he's got a chance to grow into his heavyweight body. He just doesn't have any experience in a fight at heavyweight. And I think that no matter how hard John Jones trains, there's no way that he is going to make up for the speed loss of weighing more. So there are going to be different reads that he's going to make. He's going to make these reads properly. And he's not going to be able to execute on them because his body is just not going to move as quickly. He's going to make the right read at the right time. His brain will have the right timing. His body is just going to be a tick slower than he's normally used to being. David Banner, you were incorrect here because DC started out as a heavyweight fighter and then went down. DC started out as a heavyweight fighter. Then he moved down to 205 and then moved back up to take the heavyweight crown. Maybe not a lot of people know does this. Xenon says, I hope TSP does more fireside live streams in the future. Are you listening, Justin? Are you listening? Yeah, we will definitely get some more. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Justin gave me a list of stuff. Yeah, he gave me a choice of 4. So we're definitely going to be doing more. We're going to be doing more. Stephen D says, I can't bet on this fight because it could go either way, even a first round sub. Yeah. Now, I think that there is a chance for a TKO scored by Gane on Jones. I think that is the second most likely outcome. And this is why. Jon Jones does move pretty slowly. Not that he is a slow fighter, but he's a very cerebral fighter. He's trying to make reads. The problem with that is that not only does Gane have the power to knock you out, but he invests very heavily in leg kicks. I know for a fact Jon Jones was not training to take leg kicks in this fight camp. And the leg kicks that Ciryl Gane puts out there, Dan Jensen said Jones has more championship fights than Gane has overall. But guess what? Jon Jones has less championship fights than Ciryl Gane at heavyweight. It is a different style of fighting. It's different. Fighting at heavyweight, you ask any fighter who has fought at light heavyweight and at heavyweight, it's different. Different. It's almost a different sport. It is the difference between men that fight at flyweight and women that fight at flyweight. That is the difference between guys that fight at 205 and guys that fight at 265. It's different, man. But you think that Jon Jones is going to make it look easy? Jeremy Lewis says, I've never watched a Gane fight. Gane is the type of... Gane looks like the way a middleweight fighter fights or a welterweight fighter fights, but in a much larger body. He's fast. He's accurate. He's very, very skilled. He's a problem. He's a problem. And even in the fight that he lost against Ngannou, it was somewhat controversial. Some people thought that Ngannou actually lost the fight, but Ngannou had so much top control time. But even when he did have control time, he did have to fend off a knee bar, a submission attempt. I believe it was like the second or third round. But you know, Gane is a problem. Gane is a problem. Did you go over the Jake versus Tommy fight yet? Nope, not worth it. I don't care about what either of these guys are doing. I think that these events they found out is profitable, so you just keep putting them on. I had no interest in this. I don't really have any interest in boxing whatsoever. It's just corruption filled, and these matchups are not compelling. So that's all I have to say about that. I don't find it to be interesting to pay attention to at all. The most that I learned about what happened in this fight was when I went scrolling looking to see if the Rangers made the trade for Patrick Kane. And then it was like, oh, so-and-so lost a split decision. I'm like, okay, whatever. Cool. So I think that the two most likely outcomes are Gane winning. Oh, Jeremy Lewis says, I was kind of happy Jake lost. He wants to gloat about beating MMA fighters in boxing matches until he loses to an actual boxer. So there's that. There's that. I mean, Jake is a unlikable person. He's an unlikable character. So if he does lose, there are going to be people that like that. But he also has millions of fans. So I'm pretty sure that some people were probably saying that it was fixed or whatever. But people have been saying that his fights have been fixed since he's been winning them anyway. I don't know. Like I said, I have really no interest whatsoever in whatever he's doing. So, you know, if his brother wanted us to hawk what is that that sports drink that they're putting out there, they paid me enough, I'd start caring, to be honest with you. David Banner says, I bet we see at least 3 fouls from Jon Jones on Saturday. So this is Stat said, will the referees see them too? Prime, yeah, it's called Prime. You know, they have like, what is it? Prime Hydration and Prime Energy. Guru says, curious to see how Bones takes a punch from a real heavyweight. If Gane catches him flush, I could see Jones getting chinned. If Herb Dean is reffing, no, he won't see it. Is there going to be an eye poke from Jon or no? Well, David Banner says probably 3. Because I don't know Jon Jones to kick people in the dick. I don't know him to do that. But we know him for eye pokes. So, I don't know. But I've said this. Jon Jones could lose 48-47, 49-46, 50-45, 50-44, 50-43, and it would still make him number 1 pound for pound. You know, that's the reality, folks. Not a fan of Herb Dean. Too many botch calls in my experience. Herb Dean is one of the best referees in all of MMA today. It just so happens that he calls the most high-profile fights. So when he does make a mistake, it sets the MMA world on fire. But let me tell you, lesser-known referees make just as many mistakes, if not more, than Herb Dean does. It's just that they're calling less visible fights. So the gravity of their mistakes is not really as felt. There's a reason why Herb Dean is more often than not the ref for main events. And real MMA heads inside of MMA, they know this. What do you think of Bo Nickel? Bo Nickel is like, the way that he is saying, the way he's talking, Bo Nickel is talking as if he is the American version of Chimaev. And I just think that with Bo, we need to see him fight in the UFC. There's plenty of hype out there. We got to see it. We got to see how, you know, Steven believes in him. But you know, I need to see more. I need to see more. David Banner says, well, there is a lot of letting fighters get away with having the fingers out. Yes. Yep. And then there's that funny business with Conor Khabib, where Conor he got away with grabbing the fence, putting his fingers in the glove of Khabib, grabbing the inside of the shorts to stop Khabib from advancing positions. But I think that Conor thought he was going to get finished rather early in that fight. And I do believe that the fouls that he made might have. But I don't think that Khabib was really looking to win in round 1 or round 2. I think that he wanted to make Conor suffer. But yeah, Conor was cheating real bad in that fight. That is not a fight that Conor wants. He doesn't want Makhachev either. He fought a former champ at Dana White's Contender Series. A former champ of what? My mother's basement? He's not fighting UFC level competition. There's nobody that has won a championship in the UFC that has to go down to Dana White's Contender Series to then fight one of the fighters there. So, you know, regional champs, I put no stock in that. I need to see you win at the UFC level. And so I don't know. I'm not saying that Bo Nickel is not a great fighter. What I'm saying is that I'd like to see him actually fight. Yeah, Cage Fury. Yeah, Cage Fury is not the UFC. You know, it's a regional. These are to see if these guys, he's the best of the rest. But this is the UFC. Could he win fights at Bellator? I'm sure. I'm sure he could. I'm sure he could. But he has 0 wins and 0 losses in the UFC. So I don't have an opinion on him. I need to see him in the cage. And we will see him against what is really a sacrificial lamb. But if he gets beat, I'm going to laugh because he's talked a lot of shit. And when guys come into the UFC talking a big game about being a champ and I'm going to beat this one and that one and I'm the best ever, we haven't seen you do a goddamn thing. Well, if Pickett ends up winning this fight, if Jamie Pickett ends up winning this fight, because again, I agree, he's supposed to be the sacrificial lamb. But you remember that time that Roxanne Modafferi beat that chick that was supposed to be up and coming? I forget which. I could see her face, but I can't remember her name. And Macy Barber. Where is Macy Barber now? She was supposed to be the future. When she came to the UFC, she was supposed to be a killer. They put her up against Big Bird. Big Bird with titties. And what happened? What happened? So I need to actually see you fight in the UFC. And if Jamie Pickett jabs him to death, Usman style, and he starts out 0-1, remember Chandler jumped into the UFC, got his ass whooped. Yep, Macy Barber. So again, Jamie Pickett is a challenge because he is a bona fide UFC fighter fighting at the UFC level. And we are going to see if Bo Nickel is at least at that level. My girl Big Bird, put some respect on her name. Dan Jensen says that she's the prettiest girl in the fight game. Roxanne Modafferi, the happy warrior. We respect her here, but she does look like Big Bird. Just saying. So 2 days away, folks. 2 days away, UFC 285. Please make sure that you're here. Make sure your friends are here so that they can join in on the conversations too. I know that you guys aren't all loner MMA fans. So make sure that people know that this is the place to be on Saturday evening. This is the place to be.